Okay, so I wanted to address a question someone asked. I'll not mention names just in case who it is doesn't want me to mention names, but the question was about spiritual bypassing. Spiritual bypassing. So when I look for that in my own experience, what comes up is avoidance of this as it is, avoidance of the totality of experience as it unfolds here right now, and the avoidance of parts of that which we perceive to be undesirable, uncomfortable, painful, scary, and so on. And the way in which I avoided that, the fundamental mechanism behind that, is to separate from it into an imaginary entity called me, and then attempt to use concepts and beliefs and positions to kind of rationalize it, try and explain it, and try and pretend that there's something other than this, maybe waiting in the future, or try and make a judgment on this and say it's wrong or incorrect or not supposed to be. That seems to be the fundamental mechanism. That seems to be the basic illusion, the basic pattern. And that's why I, even with thoughts as well, when thoughts appear, we can resist the thoughts. Again, with this imaginary individual entity, we can try and control the thoughts, we can try and control the experience through planning or ignorance. And it seems to, what it seems to do is deaden the experience to a sufficient degree where it seems like we are not fully experiencing the perceived undesirable part of the experience. And that can play out in all sorts of seemingly different ways, but it all kind of seems to be the one underlying mechanism. Belief seems to be a big part of it, believing that things can be different, or things are different in the future. Or believing that things will be worse in the future, so we in some way have the ability to control this, to manipulate reality so that it plays out in a more desirable way. Which is completely ridiculous. Completely ridiculous. It's not possible. It's just not possible. It so obviously doesn't work that way. We can believe that things were a certain way before and have changed. And we can be holding on to the way things used to be. We can be holding on to memories. And maybe the physical reaction, the emotion involved with those memories brought into this current experience can again dampen the feelings of discomfort and discontent. One of the big ones for me was the holding on to a beyond, a different reality, a different this, that was in some way framed in time and was in some way hiding behind the manifestation of this, something else. And in a way, the initial awakening, I could say, in a way, is a form of spiritual bypassing. It's a kind of form of, at least for me, it was a kind of form of escapism. And there's a subtle suggestion of those memories that came back had a specific flavour to them. The flavour of the eternal witness. The eternal witness that was formless, but somehow hiding behind the form, or lurking beyond, waiting for me to become whole with it. And it was very difficult to let go of that belief. And I still have access to that belief, but I really believed it before. This kind of romanticized version of reality. And then when I explored that, I found how difficult it is to distinguish between where it seemed like I didn't have a point of view. It seemed like I wasn't perceiving things from the point of view of a separated entity, until the existential terror came. That kind of strange solipsistic, I don't know if that's a word, let me rephrase it, like solipsism. Am I the only entity in the universe? What am I? And it brought about this inexplicable existential terror of, I don't know how to describe it. Is this all there is? Am I all there is? Am I stuck here in this eternity? And at times that really seemed like a reality, until it became clear that that feeling was the flip side of the high I got from that escapism of the initial shift. It was the clearing of that more fundamental layer of self and identity that was still there, and it had a different type of fear associated with it, a more deep and existential, less easy to explain fear that came with it. So then I could see how I was using the insight to frame it in a different form of the self, if that makes any sense. And it was clear that I was viewing things from the limited perspective of a self, a separate self, albeit an expanded version of that self. And that was a form of bypassing. I saw a very, I'm going to start shouting because the rain's on. I saw a very subtle separation, stepping back from this immediate experience, this immediate sensory reality. Anyway, I'm running out of time and I need to walk to work in this. Wish me luck. See you next time.